Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lights and Non-Classics. This is episode number 63 and Doubleshot number 1757. I have a Batman trade and a Firestorm trade to basically discuss this one. Now, this is a redo of the last one. I have to start this one over again because I got interrupted 3 minutes in the last video. It's been delayed. I have to start over again. So, fresh start with this one. Peeled because I got interrupted because dinner was ready. That was the reason for that. The Batman trade is actually the third. It's a trade that collects the third volume of Batman Black and White. Now, I say third volume because the initial original volume was only 4 issues. Then it was the backup feature for Gotham Knights for the next 49 issues of that series, which came out roughly a little over 4 years after the miniseries came out. And then you had the second volume, which I will review at some point. Don't worry about that. That collected the 6 issues. That was actually like 2 issues longer. That came out roughly about 18 years after the previous mini. Actually, about 17 years after the previous miniseries came out. This one came out roughly 7 years later. Like the previous one, 6 issues. Also, for some reason, DC decided to have Batman on the cover wear the wrong costume. Yes, I say wrong costume because this was not the costume he was wearing at the time this miniseries came out. Nope, that is the Greg Capullo redesigned costume that came out with Batman 50. That's what this costume first showed up in. Why in the world is he wearing this attire compared to his actual attire he was wearing as of right now? By the way, his current outfit is one of his pre-Flashpoint attires. I think it was the very attire that he wore just prior to Final Crisis. That's my guess, anyways. Though I've seen in later books he does put on his Batman Incorporated gear. Now, like in the case of the miniseries and the 2 previous miniseries and the record feature, lots of writers. Some of them do double duty as the artist because some of them are also artists as well. Now, some of these artists, I'm going to say, basically, they're going to pull double duty because some do. You have David Aja, writer and artist of the stories. John Arce, Bangle, Jamal Campbell, who him and Stephanie Campbell do, in fact, do double duty as the artist. Arisa Cheddar, writer and artist. Patrick Collett, Becky Cohen, Nick Jurgen, who also does the artwork too. Paul Dini, Nick Dortia, Bursa Evely, also artist too. Karen Gillian, yes, Karen Gillian did a Batman book. This is interesting. Gabriel Hammond, Carla Pacheco, Jorge Jimenez, who also is the artist, one of those. Daniel Warren Johnson, Carl Kishler, Tom King, John Ridley, who actually is a very recent Batman artist, writer, who actually he's done the books for the character Jace Fox, the another son of longtime Batman supporting character Lucius Fox. He is second son introduced after we had Luke Fox for years as Batwing. Yep, Emma Reyes, Tim Seeley, Scott Snyder. I believe this is his last known Batman story he did. There is one more Batman story left to talk about for him. That's The Last Night on Earth. That was a miniseries with Greg Capullo. But as far as I can tell, the guy doesn't write Batman anymore. No, he doesn't. Marco Tamakaki, who I believe was the writer of the comics past year. I heard she's going to be replaced with Ram V. Brendan Thomas, fairly new writer to DC Comics. Does a pretty good job so far. James Smith, he's left DC for reasons. I never get a chance talking about that because he was at Comic-Con, but I did not get a chance to talk to him. Because when I went to his table, he was gone. He was not there. Yeah, I was not happy that day. Dustin Weaver, Lee Weeks, who also both of Dustin Weaver do the artwork as well. J.H. Williams III doing his first Bat story in years. Josh Williamson, who was the researcher for Batman, now it's taken up by one of the artists who writes this book, Chip Zdarsky. And Joey Wilson, the artist. Some have already named. Bagel, who also does artwork too. Jen Bartow, Nick Bradshaw, Oliver Capicoli, uh, Max Farr, Mitch Jars, who actually was one of the artists for the Tom King run. Um, let's see, James Heron, Kelly Jones, Ebo Casita, Andy Kubert. Yeah, this guy has done some good amount of Batman work for him. Emil Lecaro, Wade von Gruber, probably a German, Jim McKeever, Jesus Moreno, Chad Predmore, Carrie Ralph, Amy Reeder, who actually was the writer for the series Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, which got canceled in 50 issues. Don't know why, but it did. John Romita Jr. Yes, John Romita Jr. That's some artwork. I believe this is when we did this mini series. I think it's the first Batman work he did. Excuse me, since he did the first story arc for All Star Batman, which was really good. I enjoyed that one. Klaus Johnson, Riley Ruspo, the current artist for Harley Quinn. Let's see. Stefan Sanjing, I believe this is one of the artists who did some Bat books recently. Greg Smallwood, Dexter Soy. He was the artist for Red Hood and the Outlaws. I think he was like the majority of the artists throughout the entire second volume run. James Stoke, Bab Tar, Andy Tong. Oh yeah, J. Williams does the arc too. And Roman Babos. Greg Capullo does the cover. That explains why that's why Batman's in that costume. Now, these are your stories. This book, the Demon's Fist, is the James. This is the James Smith story. Right, First Flight. This is the Paul Dini story. Cyphus, Metamorphosis, Unjust Judge, All Cats Are Gray, The Spill, Duel, Devil in Details, The Cavalry, Kingdom of Thorns, I Am the Bat, Unknowingly Night, Legacy, A Night in the Life of a Bat in Gotham, Davenport House, Green Deal, Checkmate, Fool's Journey, A Father and Son Outing, Signals, Blue, The Riddle, which at least is a Riddler story, plus with Killer Croc is a story. The Man Who Flies, The Second Signal. This one is quite interesting because, before I continue, this is a story where two guys let a secondary bat signal, and they request his help for these 10/6 stuff. And it turns out actually is the Mad Hatter behind all it. He says, "Is it our fault?" "No, it's mine." And he just goes to Mad Hatter in the story. Yes, the Mad Hatter. Yep. The Abyss was actually the most recent story of Batman that wasn't. Which, yeah, this was also the name of the most recent arc of Batman before the current thing, the Chip Zdarsky. I have not read 25, in case you ask me. Opening moves like Monsters of the Deep and 1,000 Words. Okay, the first story, this is the James Smith one. Weird story. It just... Not much dialogue per se. And apparently this is the artist take on Ra's al Ghul. Yeah. It's Batman versus Ra's. And it's weird setting. It just... Not really much here. First look at Demon's Fist. The artwork is not giving much to go on for this one. Though it's done by Tread Moore. Yeah. Now, this artwork is really good. I love J.H. Williams III. Yes. His story is like seeing like one with necklace. I just love the gorgeous artwork here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a 2-page spread of one panel. We have Batman fighting the Scarecrow, the Penguin, and Mr. Freeze. Yes, I kind of wish James Tim would come back doing. Not James Tim. I kind of wish James Tim would do the artwork because this artwork is gorgeous. I love this artwork. It's a shame that he was fired from Batwoman because his artwork is good. Oh my gosh, his artwork is so freaking good. And some might ask, why is this guy doing the Bat books now? Honestly, I have no idea why he's not doing Bat books now because this artwork is so good. It's Batman artwork. James Williams III is a great artist. Why the heck DC does not give me work right now aside from this one short story Batman black and white? I have no idea. I mean, not much story there, but I love the artwork of this one because James Williams is a fantastic artist. Paul Dini's story, First Flight, just basically Batman versus a bunch of Batmen. Well, excuse me, Man Bats in his Batcave. It's him fighting off these things while trying to rescue Alfred. And for some reason, he takes out the Whirly Bird. Yes, the Whirly Bird. If you don't know what this thing is, this was a device that Batman had back in the 60s. Which, here's the thing. You ever notice, though, when Brave and the Bold, when Neil Adams came in the book as the artist, he basically had Batman stop using this damn thing because it looks so silly. Yeah, imagine you're fighting crime, you fly around this thing, the Whirly Bat. It's just so hilarious. Yeah, appearance by Talia al Ghul. Also, Swamp Thing is here. Yes, frickin' Swamp Thing. I'm like, okay, interesting. What a really cool story. I love it. Cyphus. This is the Emily Rose story, who's the writer and artist. Not bad artwork per se, but not my personal favorites. I mean, I love the font for this lettering here. It's so good. Not really much to say. Just Batman wandering through some wilderness, whatever. And then you have the Jewel Wilson one called Metamorphosis. This artwork is done by Greg Smallwood, and wow, just like James Williams III, really good artwork. Love how the way Batman's drawn here. Yeah, this is another artist I should see on one of the Bat books because this artwork is good. Oh my gosh, this is so freaking good. Yeah, this story features Batman, well, meeting up with, of all people, Killer Croc. Yes, Killer Croc. Because I don't. Now, Mr. R does do the story with let's see, Metamorphosis. Here we go. Greg Smallwood, has he done any other work besides this one story? Well, yes, he has. He is okay. So aside from this one story, he is currently the artist for the current The Human Target series by Tom King. Yep, he is the artist for that one. Interesting to say the least. He's also done a couple one-shots and a short story for Harley Quinn. He must have been some guy they recently hired. That's just for artwork wise. Penciling or inking wise, does that too. Cover images. He's done, well, aside from Human Target, he's done one issue of Killing Time and the most recent Flying Batman Superman. Yeah. I don't know much of the guy as an artist, but man, this guy is so freaking good. Okay, yeah, he also previously worked. He also worked at Marvel. Yep, he worked at Marvel doing books like. Let's see if I can find him here. Let's see. Well, he did 33 comics for Marvel. So he worked on. Oh, he worked on the Brian Wood Moon Knight run. Yeah, I recognize the cover art. It's actually the artwork. It's ready for the Brian Wood work. So basically, the first book he did was A plus X15. He was also the artist behind Shield 7. The looks like the Jeff Lemire run for Moon Knight. Yeah, he did pretty much all 14 issues of Jeff Lemire's run for Moon Knight. Love the guy's artwork here. He issued all New Guardians of the Galaxy, some one-shots. His most recent book he did was Elektra Black, White, and Blood, which actually was released this past February. Yep. But it's almost like, what, you can't have more than one book? I mean, I appreciate the fact he's on Human Target because the guy's really good. I kind of wish this guy would get more work. Heck, would it be interesting if he drew a Superman book? Yes, that would be interesting. Yeah, he's taken away. Now, this next is The Unjust Judge. Mitch Gerard's really good artist. I'm glad the fact that Tom King got a chance to reunite with him on this book. Now, I have seen him work on several other Tom King books. Yes, indeed I have. Well, of course, aside from Batman himself and Strange Adventures. Excuse me. I believe he also worked on Rorschach as well. Okay, looks like he was also the second artist for Heroes in Crisis. He did one issue of Leech Heroes. Oh, he was the artist behind the Mr. Miracle series. But if you're going to ask me what was his most recent work he did for DC, it was probably either this book, which is the story here, or the Batman/Catwoman special. Yeah, this is probably by far his most recent book he did. Well, that was released anyways. And that was released 6 months ago. Oh, yes. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yes, as for why in the world he hasn't any more books since then, I'm not sure. I mean, I love the guy's artwork. Yeah, just basically Batman fending off a fire. Um, Interesting though, they went with a Watchmen style panel art style. Yeah, this is the panel style here. This is notorious from Watchmen. Yes, for some reason, Mitch Gerard went with this style. I don't have a problem with this. You don't see many comics do this. And then you have finally the regular spread we don't need to have. Yeah, there's not much story here, but I just gotta love the artwork. All Cats Are Gray. It's a Catwoman story, just basically Batman chasing Catwoman. And for some reason, Catwoman was wearing her New Avengers costume. Yeah, for some reason, they had her wear this outfit. At least her skin is not gray, like she is in the TV show. Mm-hmm. Next up is the Gabriel Hammond and Carl Pacino story. It's just Batman driving the Batmobile. Start with that. Where it looks like it's the one from the Batman animated series. Yes, I love this Batmobile. For Batmobile special the comic, this is one of my personal favorites because it's loosely inspired by the Tim Burton Batmobile. So he's found by the Joker of all people. All about EMP. Just a really interesting story here. Mm-hmm. Next up is Duel. This is the Dustin Weaver story. Yeah, and this is another guy who should do more Batman work. Mm-hmm. Yes. Like, look how he draws Batman in this, which, from the costume-wise, it looks like his Traka costume. Yes. Yes, that's what a lot of people trying to clarify it as, the Traka costume. The all-black, bulletproof costume, which is loosely inspired with the Tim Burton Bat movies, which according to Chuck Dixon, I asked him because he was the first person to introduce as one of his books. It was Jim Aparo. He was one who designed this costume. And you have Batman looks like he puts on this looks like something inspired by the Batman Beyond suit one panel. Yeah. So got a little story here. Just really good here. And then you have this really interesting story here called The Devil in Detail. This is basically a story done via comic panels. Yep. And you have like the whole story like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only like 8 pages. And I like it. It's really good. Then you have a David Aja style. You have the John Ridley story, The Cavalry, which starts out Batman being beaten up and tortured. Yep. And he's saved by somebody. I cannot tell who it is. It looks like some woman who saves him. Beats the bad guys. Actually, I think this is supposed to be the Not the Bruce Wayne Batman, based on the fact that his skin is not the right color. Well, no, it's not Bruce Wayne. No, this is the Jazz Fox one. It's actually because John Riley, he only can do Jazz Fox for some reason. He can't do Bruce Wayne Batman. The Batman story has to use Jazz Fox for some reason because it's John Riley, like you expect. Yep. A Kingdom of Thorns, a medieval style story, medieval fantasy story. That's really what this thing is. And then you have Batman. You have this sort of noir. You just be a bunch of guys. Not much for. This is I Am the Bat. This is just some guy who dressed up as Batman. A young. Oh, it says my father was Batman. Who this person is? Don't know. Still appearance of the character. Then you have a story by Tim Seeley and Kelly Jones. Yeah, you can easily tell it's the Kelly Jones artwork based on that. Yes. Kelly Jones had a fetish, apparently, for having Batman have long bat ears. Yeah, and you have Tim Seeley doing this. This is a horror story because horror, why not? It's a weirdish story. Then you have Legacy, which is just basically Batman in a post-apocalyptic future. Yeah. And then it's A Night in the Life of a Bat in Gotham. This is done by Josh Williamson and Riley Ruspo. And you can tell it's Riley Ruspo's artwork based upon the costume. Yes, for some reason he likes drawing him in this very costume. Give the because normally Batman looks like he's wearing a Speedo on his outfit. This harkens back to the Golden Age version of Batman, minus the purple gloves. But yeah, I like the guy's artwork, and it is interesting. This is actually another story of him. This is actually the second story I reviewed for him that features Batman, because the first one I reviewed was the Batman / Shadow miniseries, and of course I've also reviewed his work on Harley Quinn. I love this guy's artwork. I'm glad he's doing Harley Quinn because this person is a really good artist. I'm not a fan of the chin stuff, but I love the background. It's so really good here. Next one is Carl Ketchler, which looks like we have a female Robin. This is called the Davenport House. It looks like a tiny house between like two buildings, and it's them just exploring the house. Really interesting standalone story. And then you have the Chip Zdarsky one where he says The Green Deal, which is a story that features Poison Ivy. Because, of course, you have a word named Green. Of course you got Poison Ivy here. Also, Poison Ivy looks drastically different than she normally does. Here's Poison Ivy for you. Yep, you know it's an alternate universe story where you have Poison Ivy looking like this. Even though you have an in-ear book besides this, and she does not look like this at all. Batman himself looks like he's wearing this costume here. It looks like his Jim Lee costume, but it's a combination of like Jim Lee and a few other costumes. Yeah, just a story about Poison Ivy. That's really what it is. Mm-hmm. Checkmate. Another story we have Batman being beaten up, and this time basically he's stopped by Two-Face. Yes, frickin' Two-Face. Why Two-Face? Just cause it's Bat. Like, this is weird though. You have two stories begin with Batman being chained up and being beaten up. Yeah, and then we have Batman driving the Batmobile, and once again it looks like the Tim Burton Batmobile with wings. Mm-hmm. Then you have another story in here. I think the credits were. Yeah, this is the Fool's Journey. This is the Rachel Dotson story. Yeah. Love Rachel Dotson, Terry Rachel Dotson's artwork. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Finds an outing. Jorge Jimenez does writing artwork. This is just a story of Batman and Damian going for bicycles. Riding bicycles. Yeah, we're also getting time to do Batman stuff. Yeah, that's simple what this book is. That book is like, I Am Robin. Yeah, you can tell it's Dan because it's the right costume. Yep. But I'm not going to discuss more about that. Just check out the book itself. It's just really, really good. Mm-hmm. I get Batman Black and White. A 9.5 out of 10. Next up, we have the final trade for the Fury of Firestorm Nuclear Men, which they retired for these issues Nuclear Man, called Takeover. Yep, and this is more traditional Firestorm compared to the previous issues, which were weird ideas, but it was really interesting. You have Dan Jurgens doing the writing here. Interesting. Normally, when he does the writing, he usually does the artwork too. Occasionally, he might just do the artwork. But this book, nope, he does not do the artwork. Excuse me, you have Ray McCarthy, Carl Kitzler, and Norm Ram. The cover art is done by Dan Jurgens, Hi-Fi, and Rob McCarthy. Yeah, that's Dan Jurgens' artwork right there. And met Dan Jurgens once, very nice guy to me in person. Now, this story is more traditional Firestorm, because in the 19th issue of this book, he actually fronts 4 of his classic villains. Which villains, you might ask? You have Killer Frost, who was not Louise Lincoln or the original one. This is the 3rd Killer Frost. Caitlin Snow, who, yes, has appeared on the Flash TV show. Sterling Kate's character, I believe, first appearance actually just prior to this one. Because if I remember correctly, she had just... let me take a look here for the character of Killer Frost. Because if I remember correctly, she is a character. The original was Krista Frost. That was the original one. Caitlin Snow made her first appearance in this very issue. I thought it was Sterling Gates who created it, but no, this was her very first appearance. But I think Sterling Gates is basically known for developing the character. Yes, but this was our very first appearance in this very book here. Along with, well, they also had, of all people, Dalton Black, aka Multiplex in the story, along with Black Bison. Yes, there's a character named Black Bison. Hyena, Plastic, and Typhoon. Yes, Typhoon is not... Oh, he is a... Yeah, he is a Firestorm villain. I believe he was a... He appeared in the backup story for that one. So technically you have a whole bunch of Firestorm villains, which is interesting to say the least. Now, we also have Major Force appearing here, except that we appear in these issues. He's not in the traditional purple and gold. He's like green and black for some reason. And this book, issue 19, was his debut. Yep. Yeah. Black Bison. First appearance, Firestorm Volume 2. Yep. It is interesting, though, the fact we have one issue. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classic Firestorm villains who first appear in this very issue. Although Hyena made a debut in the previous issue, but yeah, great the fact they basically brought in the classic characters. Multiplex. He actually made his first appearance in Justice League, but that's technically when he first showed up. But after these issues wrap up, he also appeared in stuff like, of course, for Legends of Tomorrow, obviously. He was also a recurring character in Flash, because he's part of the organization Black Hole. He was also in Midnighter. He was in Forever Evil Rogue Rebellion, issue of Forever Evil Argus. First 2 issues of Forever Evil. I think his most recent appearance actually in Dark Crisis number 2. Yep. But that's Dalton Black for you. Yeah, but those are the classic Firestorm villains. And I think that's pretty much all the Firestorm villains. Like, all in the last few issues, like, okay, we finally have traditional Firestorm, and then the series just ends. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. Like, you finally bring back classic Firestorm the way he should be, and he just, well, he just fights other characters. Like this one character named Daxton who dies after like 3 issues after his debut. There's also Black Star. Yes, a character named Black Star. Who only appears for 3 issues. 13, 14, 16, and that is it for him. Oh, by the way, pre-Flashpoint, Black Star was a smoking hot woman who appeared in the second line for Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they refer to this one as Black Star 2. There was also Relay. Yes, a woman named Relay, who only appears for 4 issues. Appears 13, 14, 16, 18. And, I mean, you could kind of say that Jerry Conway was kind of rushing bringing the Firestone because I think he must have got word like, oh crap, I just got this book and we're going to cancel the book as I got into the book. Yeah. So if you're a fan of the Jerry Conway style of Firestorm, this is basically your cup of tea. Because it feels like Dan Jurgens probably knew Jerry Conway. So he probably asked the person who did this book for him to kind of in a way make it more like traditional Firestorm. And this guy here, this is Coach Conway. Yes. Who, in my opinion, is probably based upon Jerry Conway. At least basically his name after him. Though for some reason, the show a little bit later, he's a redhead for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe an artistic error. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but really good stuff here. And the book ends with basically Superman showing up. Yes, Superman. Yeah, and also you have General Wade Eiling in here. I think it's like really cool. Plus, we have this really cool moment where it looks like, oh, Caitlin Snow's gonna kiss Firestorm and doesn't go anywhere. No, this book, anyways. Like she really wants to. And here's Major Force for you. Yes. Yeah, that's Major Force. And you're thinking, wait, that's not Major Force. He's a foreign color scheme. And you would be right. Except clearly it is, despite the fact that he doesn't really look. He doesn't even act like Fire. He doesn't act like him at all. Also, Wade, the Black Wade Eiling. And here we go. This guy here, that is Professor Martin Stein, who for some reason looks like Ben Franklin. A very thin Ben Franklin. Oh yeah, and we also have Superman showing up in his Jim Lee armor. Yes, the Jim Lee armor. Why is he here, you might ask? Why? Because he's being offered place in Justice League. Yep, that is really the whole point of being here. Is because, well, books getting canceled, let's move over to Justice League for reasons. Yeah, I like these issues. I really do. I thought these issues would be really fun to read. Yes, just purely awesomeness at its finest. Yeah, and then you have Firestorm pretty much joining the Justice League like right after this book got canceled. Yeah, he's part of the Justice League. Because he's part of the main Justice League book. Very briefly, mind you, he joins issue 16. He basically answers the call for the Throne of Atlantis story. And he pretty much becomes an official member with issue 18. Yeah, he officially joins the team with issue 18. As far as a story called The Grid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's part of the storyline just for the 3-parter. Yeah, and by issue 20, which wraps up the story, he pretty much becomes an official member of the Justice League at this point. And right after Forever Evil, he's off the team. No, seriously. After Forever Evil wraps up, he is off the team. He is seen Justice League America. Yep. And after Forever Evil wrapped up, he did appear in some books afterwards, yes. Legend of Tomorrow, which I'll get to that later on when I get into the book. Robin Batman. He appeared a couple issues of Superman, Volume 5 by Peter Tomasi. Superman Heroes. Basically, it was very sporadic per se. He appeared in many issues of Doomsday Clock. Also appeared in some issues of Dark Knight's Death Metal. But if you want to ask me personally, what is his most recent appearance to date? It was probably Batman World's Finest number 4. And he did appear in some... I remember seeing him some stuff for... I'm trying to remember. I think it was one of the Dark Truth stuff that he appeared in. Yeah, he appeared in like Action Comics 50. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, also he appeared in the most hated miniseries to date for DC, Heroes in Crisis. He's definitely a character I think should get a lot more attention than he does. Yeah. But this book is really good. My final thoughts on the Fury of Firestorm Nuclear Man / Man series. It's a pretty interesting book per se. It's just too big I canceled. Only 20 issues. Didn't have an annual published this whole period of time. Nope, didn't have time for an annual. But I managed to last along with some other books for New 52. Now, was this the first Firestorm book published in DC Comics? No, the last book was published back in mid-2000s. Now, and of course, this featured Jason Rusch and Ronnie Raymond. Martin Stein was not a pivotal character in this book. Now, when people who are fans of Firestorm, they might be upset about the first 12 issues, but when you get to these last 8 issues, it feels like classic Firestorm. And you read these issues, it almost seems like before Superman shows up, it seems like there was more stuff planned here. Like, maybe they're going to bring in more Firestorm villains, aside from the ones pop up here. I'm not really sure. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, like, was there a Firestorm villain they missed, per se? Because they got a good chunk of them. You got a chunk of the more classic, more iconic Firestorms. I would say probably one I could think of was probably Tomalak. Yeah, him. He the one who looked like a robot in pre-Flashpoint who did appear on the Flash TV shows in Evil Firestorm. Yeah, he was missing from the book. But aside from him, there may have been one or two I can't think of, but a lot of more iconic Firestorms did pop up in the book. But the other really big problem with this book is got canceled too soon. It felt as though they had more plans to do with the book, but the book wasn't selling too well, so they had to cancel it. But we had that miniseries. We had that feature for Legend of Tomorrow. So we have that Firestorm. I kind of wish he's actually one of those characters who could get another ongoing series if the DC wanted to push it. Especially since, well, you read these trades like, wow, like Firestorm is a cool character. And if you read the classic Firestorm series from Jerry Conway, like the original 5-issue, which actually is in trade, the second volume, it is so good. Yes, it shows that Jerry Conway is so awesome writer. The Legend of Tomorrow book shows the fact he has not lost his touch when it comes to writing Firestorm. It was the first time since the ADC wrote him, but it was good. I will review it sometime in the future because this is a good miniseries. Yep. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. It was slightly longer than my last video I did. So next video is going to be Case Closed. Okay? Next video. Bye.